can you put down Tears of the Kingdom long enough for us to just talk about Tears of the Kingdom, please? Welcome to Our Joy of Gaming, everyone, where I teach my son Miles about retro games, and I'm Clayton. We play new games as well, and of course, we're playing Tears of the Kingdom. Just came out on Friday. This is we're only like a few days into it. I think we're about 15 hours so far into playing it. This was an all-day event on Friday. You got home from your school trip. I had gone to the store early that morning.
Yeah.
There was already missing items on the shelf, so people had already lined up to buy the game.
Yeah.
It was already being sold. Of course, a lot of people downloading it digitally, of course. But then I got it home, and that night we ended up getting some food. We went up into the game room, and we just started playing. So we're not going to have spoilers necessarily. We are going to talk about some of the new mechanics and some of the new gameplay, maybe some of the new little enemies that you'll experience in this game. We're not going to go, not going to spoil any part of the story for you, but we are going to talk about some of the awesome new mechanics and gameplay features of Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah. Without giving any spoilers, sort of your first thoughts on playing Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Well, I mean, in the beginning, I thought it was really cool because you're not in the Great Plateau, but it's like similar where you start off, And instead, this whole game is more focused around the Zonai.
Right.
And they're like...
The ancient civilization of Zonai.
Yeah. I think like that's really cool, because it like basically sets up the whole thing.
Right.
And so I thought that was really cool, but then you get out of the... this time it's called the Room of Awakening.
Mm-hmm.
So you go out of the Room of Awakening, right? And there's just this whole big thing, right? And so you jump, and it says jump. And you press A, and you just dive off this big cliff.
Yeah.
And then it shows the logo, right?
Right, it's such a cool moment.
Yeah. And it has like the theme as well, And then it cuts to you, and then it lets you take over, right?
Right.
And so now it's just you playing.
Right.
And you just dive down into this pond of lily pads. And oh my god, it's so cool. And it says like it'll stop any room or body of water will cancel your
fall.
Your fall.
Right. So if you dive in, you can do that now, and so you can dive down into these pools of water.
Like if you, there's a super cool thing where, I mean, I'm not gonna say anything, but you can get up into the air, and then, like you can just deploy your glider, which is weird because you don't get for a little while into the game.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things you're picking up as you're going along, right? You're getting. It's not. This is not really a spoiler, but because really at the beginning of the game, you're getting a lot of your abilities, right? That have been in the trailer already, right?
And so,
Ultra Hand and Fuse and things like that. Yeah.
And this is already. You already kind of know this from the trailer, but you go under Hyrule Castle. That's when you supposedly go missing with Zelda.
Right.
Then, what I was trying to say was, it's really cool where you just dive down, and then it says accelerate with R, and so you can just be like this, and then,
Yeah.
And there's just this whole open world thing where you can just be on top of an island, and then,
And yeah, so Sky Island, you're on the Great Sky Island. When you're kind of starting out, and you can see these like different levels, and this is Great Sky Island here, so you see these different levels, and
this is like the Great Plateau.
And this is you playing. This is gameplay of Miles playing the game here, and so that's you playing. So there's these different levels, and you kind of think about how to get up there, down there. So even though it seems like this island space, it's much bigger because of all the leveling of it, right?
And I looked at the map, and it's supposedly, I think it's like bigger,
Yeah, well, it feels like that. If you think about like when you start off in Breath of the Wild and you're in the Great Plateau, right? You're starting off and you're in the Great Sky Island, right? And then you've got to navigate this and different shrines and things like that.
Oh yeah, and the upgrade of the shrines are so cool, you know? Because now they're like Zonai shrines.
It's so cool. There's so many little quality of life things too in this game that are improved, right? So let's just talk about some of the mechanics between Breath of the Wild. Like there's definitely better perfect timing here. There's definitely new controls that allow you to do some different things. Like for instance, if you open a treasure chest, right? If you open a chest and you're fully stocked of items, instead of having in Breath of the Wild, you have to close the treasure chest.
Oh yeah.
And then drop an item.
That was
Such
big
a pain.
complaint.
Yeah. Now
Like,
in this game, what can you do?
well, I mean, you'll see like you'll open a chest, right? And then you'll see you don't have enough space for this, and like wait 2 seconds, right?
Right.
And then it'll show your weapons, and I'll say drop this, this, or this, you know? And so you can drop either one of those.
Right. So that makes it much easier, faster to do that. I also feel like, because I always struggled with like the flurry rush timing. I have talked about this in my Breath of the Wild kind of wrap up after I beat Breath of the Wild. But I feel like the timing of the flurry rushes in this is a little bit maybe more forgiving.
Yeah, and you had said that before.
Like, I feel like it's a little easier for like an old guy like me to like, okay, now it's not so precise. I can do a backflip and I got my flurry rushes. So early on playing against some of these bad guys, like I'm already getting some flurry rushes in and I'm already learning. So a lot of the gameplay mechanics are very similar. Here we're looking at the Ultra Hand where you can, Ultra Hand different items together, combine, attach different items together using the sort of like green goo, which we don't yet know what that is yet because we're not that far into the game.
Well, I don't think, it's a bit weird, you know? Because it says that the Zonai had possessed godlike powers before. So I'm like, oh, that's weird. They possessed goo.
Yeah, so who knows exactly what that is. But again, no spoilers, but this is just like early gameplay. This is like the first few hours of playing, trying to navigate this beautiful, beautiful open world. And it already feels like 10 times bigger. Because there was one point where you zoomed out on the map. When you opened up the map and you zoomed all the way out and you're like, holy crap, Daddy, this Great Sky Island is like this little nugget in this massive, massive map.
Yeah.
So
it's like the Great Plateau made up maybe 2% of the whole thing, or maybe 5%. I don't know.
Who
But
knows?
now the Great Sky Island makes up even less. Look, I'm making a raft there. And
this is so
don't
cool.
give me Ultra Hand, because I can make anything. Like right here, I remember I made a double-decker raft.
Yeah, with a sail on it, and you can do all sorts of really cool things. I mean, if you're like a Minecraft fan, I think that's why this game is going to be such an incredible game. Like, I've even heard people talking about they're building houses.
Yeah.
You know, you can chop down wood, build houses, and then come back to your house. I wonder
Like that was one of the things you said. Like maybe you can settle down, build a house. You know.
Yeah, and you can. What's cool? There's some other quality of life things too in the mechanics where, and this is not spoilers, but you can bring a pot now instead of having to find a pot to cook in. You actually can carry one, but you only get to use it one time.
Yeah, because you can't put it back in.
So you can find additional pots along the way that you can carry, and once you deploy it, then game over. Like you have to use it that time.
Oh, and like here's some gameplay of me using the amiibo that I got.
Yeah, where's your amiibo? Here's the amiibo. So for completing your quest, see,
look, it drops down all these sorts of arrows.
So you can add your amiibo and you get different costumes. You can get the like 8-bit Link costume. So it uses this game, Tears of the Kingdom, uses the amiibos from all of the Zelda games. So you could use Twilight Princess amiibos. You can use everything. Another thing about the gameplay here on this experience is when you compare it to like Breath of the Wild, when you would look off into the distance in Breath of the Wild, you couldn't see a lot, right?
Yeah.
The far off lands would kind of disappear. And only when you approach them would there be that pop out effect.
So you wouldn't even know where you're going.
You wouldn't even know where you're going, but in this, you can look all the way into the distance and you can see everything.
I mean, not on Great Sky Island, because it kind of like muffles things so you don't see it before.
On purpose.
Yeah.
But in the far off distance, in a way that you don't get as you're approaching bad guys and things like that in Breath of the Wild, it absolutely shows up here where you can see where you're going. See off in the distance here, you can see these different areas where you might want to traverse. And it's not just showing up and popping up suddenly like it does in Breath of the Wild. The colors, another thing, music. Let's talk about music.
Oh, yeah. So, like, when you're in Breath of the Wild, when you were talking, I mean, if you're talking.
Just walking along.
Yeah, it won't have music. But now, like, it only have music if you're fighting something, like a Bokoblin.
Yeah.
Some
But in
people
Tears,
in
but
the
Tears in
comments
the
are gonna yell at me about that. But in Tears of the Kingdom, it like changes, kind of, you know?
Yeah, so there's a lot more music in this game. There's a lot more sound design, and you're hearing. I was playing it with headphones, so I was hearing so much different
Yeah.
sound design, ambient sound, and really, really new attention to detail. Yeah, I mean, so early on, you're getting some of these right from the very beginning. So this, again, not a spoiler, but you're getting a lot of these abilities. You know, the Ultra Hand, which of course has been all over the trailer. Everyone's been talking about Ultra Hand, which allows you to attach different items to. You can grab wood, you can fuse it to another. Nintendo is very specific about this. Fusing is a totally different skill.
Yeah.
So you can
Ultra
attach
hand
it.
is where you just use the green goo.
Yeah, like see here we're attaching something, so you can attach that to that tree trunk there. Now I can pick up that.
Green goo in there.
Yeah, now I can pick up this whole, I can grab that other tree. Now I can lift that whole thing. And if I need to cross something, I can bring it over here and put it between. I can attach it to this.
Well, right here, I'm trying to make a bridge to get over there.
Yeah, so you could create a bridge, lift that up. Yeah, and that's so cool. Okay, if I want to cross over here. And the game allows you so many different ways of traversing these things. Like, you could do that, or you could do something totally different.
Yeah.
They could figure out a whole other way of getting across that space there, which is really, really cool.
And then also you learn about these like hovercraft things, where you use the fans. In like the very beginning, you know.
Yeah.
And you use these, you know.
Yeah.
And I was kind of confused at first, like, what is this?
Right. I know. But there's so many great things with this game.
There's caves in Tears of the Kingdom, and I went into one and I saw a like, and he was like spitting stuff at me, and I didn't even know what it was at first, because like it looked like a slug with teeth, you know. And so I used one of the arm's abilities, and this is, I mean, you also get it on Great Sky Island, and it's rewind, you know.
Yeah.
So you can like rewind stuff back, and I think that's the only way to defeat him, you know. Because then he spits out his tongue, you know, and then you have to hit the tongue to defeat him or anything. But then I defeat it, right? And I'm still not knowing what it is. And it drops this thing, and I go to pick it up, and it has, you know, the question marks, and then it says it's a like stone. I'm like, oh, I got a like.
That's
you know?
so cool. Yeah, so it's cool, like a couple of callbacks to a lot of callbacks to the original Zelda, where you're in the dungeons, you get the likes. There's
like I was talking about the rewind, but then there's also fuse, right? And I find this so cool because you can find an old sword or something, and all of the swords, like the Zora things, and all the you know, just everything has been kind of destroyed.
Right.
And then like I have amber, that like amber looks different now because it's like sharp, you know. So I fused that together, and now I have an amber blade.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been using, so I fused together, you know, you can fuse like a boulder onto a stick.
Yeah, so it
you
makes
can
a hammer.
Yeah, hammer, stone.
Oh, and there was, I dropped my shield, right? And I had this, this long, like, wooden stick. And so I just fused those together. And so I had, a shield stick.
Shield stick, yeah.
And so I could block like this,
and there's so many things you can come up with, right? Like
you know? I fused a mushroom to my shield.
Yeah, you could put like a puff mushroom on your shield. So if someone hits your shield, it'll leave off a cloud of smoke too, and it'll block their vision so that you can get away, right? Or you could fuse that same puff mushroom onto an arrow, and shoot it at enemies and create like a puff of smoke.
Arrow, you know?
Oh, homing arrow. You can put like, a Keese eye onto an arrow.
And there's a new enemy. Well, that's like there's like a bird kind of thing, or not. I don't know how to explain it. It's like a mini dragon almost. And it's not very. It doesn't take a lot of health, but if it hits you, it'll take a lot of health off of you. So you have to hit it with one arrow, and it's so cool because it's like, pew, you know. And then that drops an eye, and this is like more precise than a Keese eye, you know,
right?
That you can attach to your arrow. And so, say I wanted to shoot at like this mouse here, okay, and I miss, right? Just in case, I attached an eye onto it, and I go here, and then it'll just, you know.
So you kind of select your target, and it'll find it for you, like homing in on it.
But you can't like turn the other way.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. So many cool little quality of life things. Also, let me just mention the recipes right here. We're cooking, about to do some cooking, and I I loved having a full stock of like really good meals, but
Yeah.
one of the big pains is trying to pick this,
Yeah.
and then combine it into a recipe.
And then it'll be like your best thing, right?
And you're like, how did I make that?
Yeah.
And now it saves the recipe. Like when you create something that gives you 5 heart containers or 5 heart containers, and it's a really cool thing, and it gives you that nice sound effect, like you really you made a really good meal.
Yeah.
Now it'll save it as a recipe. So you just have to make sure you have the proper
I'm using
ingredients.
Ultra Hand here to fuse it to my,
Oh yeah, so you're fusing the mushroom there to your shield.
but I don't have fuse yet, so I can't really do it.
Oh, you had just attached it. And the only problem is like when you attach it, it'll break if you don't, or when you fuse something. Anyway.
Well, then
so-
you can unfuse it, but then the thing that's fused to it dies.
Dies off, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're loving this game. So again, we're about like 15 hours into it. We're still on the Great Sky Island.
Well, you are.
I am, yeah. Okay, you've already, yeah. Because you took the TV over, so I couldn't play it on the TV. So guys, this is just a first look of our first, 15 hours or so playing Tears of the Kingdom. We wanted to get this out on this day and hope you enjoy it. How many of you guys are playing Tears of the Kingdom? How many of you guys are?
It's been such a big game. I've seen all over the internet. I'm like, no spoilers. I even sent you a video.
Yeah.
That in Breath of the Wild, there's like a ton of guardians going at this one guy. And they're targeting him, and then he just dodges all of them, and it says me trying to
avoid spoilers from Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah. So we're hopefully we didn't give you any big spoilers here. We're not certainly on the story. We're not giving you any big spoilers on the story. Just some of the mechanics that you've seen a lot of this already in the trailers. Of course, you've already seen a lot of this from Nintendo. Has already shown off some of this, and there's been reviews from early gameplay as well. So
I didn't even watch the early gameplay.
no, I didn't either. But let us know in the comments, guys. What do you guys think about Tears of the Kingdom? How far are you right now? Or are you planning to play it? Or are you not interested at all? Let us know. And we'll see you next time, everyone.